download a picture, go to mary2art.com, and I'll have it on the bottom of my screen towards the end, mary2art.com, and you can download a free picture and trace it and paint right along with me. And then eventually I will have all the videos on my website, and they'll be attached to the painting that I am doing. So if you purchase the painting, then you can see the entire video showing how I created my artwork. Yay! And did I mention that I am Mexican? I don't think so. Did I mention it? I am definitely Mexican. So shall we get started? And as you can see, I have already done some pre-work. This is a 16 by 20. And let me move this up just a little bit more. Stay, stay, stay. I'm going to try to fix this, so just bear with me 1 second. I don't want you to move. Live follow. I want you to do this right here. Let's see if that'll work. If not, who cares? So anyways, what I did was I have a 16 by 20 canvas, and on the canvas I've already gessoed it, and there's a nice coat of light blue acrylics going across the front, and then I did white acrylics as well with this. So there is lots and lots of good texture to this picture. And then I put the motorcyclist on the front because I thought it's really a great picture. And just a reminder, when you want to take a picture of someone, be polite. You know, you're inconveniencing them, and so be polite and ask them, please, may I take your picture? And if they say no, then don't, because many Amish people do not want their picture taken, and so I usually don't take it. If I take a picture, it's far from the back and their face is not showing. And always take 3. You want a close-up, a medium shot, and a long shot. Those are extremely important, so you can go back and look through some of the things you might have missed at the very beginning as you started painting. So those are a couple of my tips that I want to offer to you, because I've been photographing and painting for a long time, so I can give you some really good helpful tips. All right, so the arch is very important to get the arch correct, the shape of it. Now, I've done an arch in the past, and I did not have a good shape, and it looked awful. So you definitely, and I did this using my projector. I took it, projected the picture onto the canvas, and then it came out perfectly. So that's what you want to do. You want to have a perfect shaped arch. So as you can see, the underpainting has light, medium, and darks. And in order to make it a really good image or a painting by the time you're finished, you need all of those within your picture. So I am going to get started, and the paints that I've used titanium white. These are oils, as I've been using for the last couple of months, and a black, and I seldom use black. I usually make my own, but this time I got lazy and I said, you know, I just want to have a black handy. So I did have a little bit of black, and then I did the white and mixed it with the black and came up with some grays. And then I have a magenta. I'm going to back up just a little bit so you can see. I have a magenta red up here at the top, and I don't want to turn this over too much because it wants to drip oil. Okay, so I'm going to get started, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the canvas off the easel, because it's easier for me to create a shape if it's in my hands. I have better control over it, and you definitely want your best angled brush. And so here's my angled brush, and I'm going to turn this phone off so it doesn't keep beeping. And so I have a nice angled brush, and that's what I'm going to start the arch with. And it is in like a medium color, so that's what I'm going to use on it. I'm going to use a medium, and remember, you want to go with the same color that is already under there in your underpainting. So I'm going to start at the top, and then I'm just going to barely touch the edges, and I'm going to come down, and you just don't worry about making a mistake or being perfect, because you do want your underpainting to show through. Now I can start here, that's kind of where I ended, and I'm going to go back, and I have the brush at an angle, and I'm keeping it as sharply focused as I can, going down into this here at the bottom, because I don't really care about that color yet. And then I'm going to go to the top again, and then I'm going to rest my brush before I move it, and then I'm going to go down a little bit more, just bending the brush ever so slightly. I'm going to lift this up a little higher, and then going over to the side with the brush, turning the brush just like that. And let me do that again because it looks so good. I just love it. And this time I'm going to turn the picture upside down. And that's one of the tricks that I've showed you in the trade, is to turn the picture upside down. Going gently along that edge. And then it gets a little bit lighter at the top, so actually, I'm sorry, it's at the bottom that it gets lighter. So I'm going to start filling in that arch part, covering up the underpainting, and it goes real thin at the top. And then a little bit later, I'll take a brush, a dry brush, and then I'll do what's called dry brushing, blending, and just blend that in really carefully. But I want to keep the sharp edges on this arch. I'm going to go a little bit lighter at the top, coming around the end. And let me try that. Going this direction here. Lifting the brush up ever so slightly. Going lighter on the top. Adding a little bit more of the light gray. And as you can see, it's all a matter of control. I'm going to put a little bit of light gray on one side and the dark gray on the other. There is too much paint on that brush. You don't want it squeezing out. Taking it, resting it, almost just letting the brush drop. It's so easy to do. You just tell the brush what you want it to do, you know, and then hopefully it does it, because I'm pretty good at ordering my brushes. All right, so now we have an upside down arch, and I can see that in the monitor. And I'm going to go back in on the inside now. I'll put a little bit of a lighter color in there just to give that some contrast. And then the rest of that I will take care of with my dry brush. I see I came out just a little bit at the top, and that's okay because I will be cleaning that up a little bit later. That's what post painting is all about. So you can see that was probably the hardest part for many people, but once you practice it over and over again, you just get much better at it. I'm going to try to bring the picture in. There you go. So you can see it a little bit better. The camera keeps moving. Maybe you can see that better. Or maybe you can't. I'm not sure what you're going to say. Okay, now I can put the painting back on the easel. Making sure it's nice and stable. I don't want it to fall off. And I can take the brush, take a little dry brush, and this is a good brush right here. Actually, it's not so good because it's really stiff, and you want a brush that is going to just come along the edges, blend it in just ever so slightly, and then you take it and you wipe it off, not with your fingers like I do, but with a dry towel, nice and clean, and then go along the outside edges too. And this time, like I said, I'm going to be coloring this in with a liquid white and a little bit of liquid blue, so I'm not going to be too concerned about making sure that is perfect, because I certainly know that that isn't. The next color I want to do is the white. because I always do. Drop a brush every time almost. Okay. I always do the lights, highlights and the darks first because it's much easier to see where you're going with your painting. So I've got the highlights here on this part of the motorcycle. So I'm just going to take my liquid, my white, and I'm going to hold the paints again and go through where all the white is. There's a highlight right here, so I'm going to do that. And there's a highlight here at the motorcycle where the sun is coming in this direction, and there's a highlight going around the man's head, but I'm not going to do that part yet. And then around the headlights, there's some highlights going around there, so I'm going to get that in there. And right here, there's another headlight, so I'm going to put that in, just ever, not even concerned about what's going on around me. The house could be falling in, but I'd be painting. There could be an earthquake going on, and I'd be painting. Going back in, trying to thin this paint out just a little bit because it's going on too thick. Let me get a little more thinner on this white. This is no odorless turpentine, so you don't want to overuse it because you certainly don't want to pass out while you're painting. I certainly don't. Now this is where the sun is shining in, right in here. It's coming in this way, so it's going to hit right underneath the motorcycle. I'm going to get in a little bit closer to get this. And then there's a headlight that comes in. Actually, this is where the windshield is. And what I did was I made a mistake on the windshield. What I should have done was I should have left it just kind of a really liquidy oil, almost perfectly clear. But I put a white in it, and it just made it too dark. So I'll have to fix that in the post-production. I'll go through and I'll find my white acrylics. Actually, I can't put white acrylics over that because I've got oil down now, and you can't put acrylics over oil. That's one of my tips for you, so tell your friends. Then I'm going to go back in here, and this over here has some white. This is like a little building of some sort. You can barely see it. And it has to go, when you have the paint too thick, it doesn't go on well. So I try to thin my paint out a little bit more. I know I have these kind of pillars a little bit fat, so I'm going to thin those up. I realized that when I did the underpainting. I said, those pillars aren't that fat. And then I'm going to put some white in here across the top because there's a shadow going in there as well. Almost looks kind of like a swimming pool. You really wouldn't be able to tell too much what kind of building that is because it's way in the distance. So don't worry about those kind of things. The next thing I want to do is I want to go to the medium colors, and I'm just going to save the dark for last. Now this is the medium right around the head, and I think that is just a little bit too light because it didn't go on like butter. Now this is much better. Remember I said if it doesn't go on like butter, where it just blends through butter on bread, then you probably have the wrong color. And you won't see hardly any detail in that head anyways, because that man's facing away from the sun, so he's pretty much in the shadows. Now these two motorcyclists, they were a lot of fun. I met them when I was down filming the arch, and they told me they were from Virginia, headed to California, and I said, oh, how exciting, you know. And so, of course, they wanted to see our arch, and they came down there, and I wanted to take their picture, so I asked them, and they agreed, and then he wanted me to take a picture of the two of them as they were getting ready to head back out of state. So like I said, be polite and be nice, and you know, be generous with your time if you can, but also be safe as well. All right, let me go back in here and do some more of the same color. Medium light, these are oils once again, and there's like right up here, this color here is lighter because it's closer to the sun. And then we have this color in here. And I probably need a different brush with that because that's a much bigger area. So let me go with this brush here. And then when you get down to like the pavement, I just really want to white that out. So I'm just going to put some spots in here. And they go every which way. You're getting shadows and you're getting lights, highlights in there. So I'm not concerned at all about what it looks like. In fact, this one here, I'm just going to barely put that in there. It's almost a clear color. I've got more oil than anything on there. And some of the underpainting is showing through, which is what I love. I love seeing the underpainting. That's the purpose of the underpainting. Then I'm going to put some of that color over here. It blends in nicely with that blue acrylics that I already have laid down. And I'm going to put a little in here too. Just kind of just push it in there with my brush. Like I said, there's hardly any paint on that at all. Now I want to go with this color here because this guy is in the dark, almost total darkness. Maybe he's Darth Vader. Darth Vader? Yeah, that's it. I don't know. So I'm going to put this color down to see, is that color right? Yes, that looks right perfectly. And then I'm just going to add some other lighter colors in there to give it some texture, so it doesn't look like he's just a blob. Leaving some of that underpainting to show through because I like to and I can. Then I'm gonna, that spot right there is pretty clear, so I'm gonna go in, and this is the top part of the motorcycle, and just give it a general shape. Go a little bit darker right here. And then his tires are a little darker, so I'm going to go a little darker. That's probably just a tad darker than I wanted because it's not blending in exactly with that underpainting. Excuse me. Barely putting any paint on this. Just giving it that shape. Yes, there's a body there. No, you don't see a lot of detail on it. All right, now I have that color on here, and it's just needs to go just a little bit darker in that spot. This will be on my website and for sale, the Bliss of Art. In fact, I'm going to put that up now on the screen because I know this stupid thing is going to be moving around anyway. So I said, well, I might as well give myself some credit. All right, there we go. There we are. We're legit now. Okay, let me go back in here and do this. I've already done this. And then some of that color is right in here. And then right down here, it gets almost a little bit darker. So I'm just going to put a tad dark. This is part of his pants coming down here. And then his feet in here. And then this is just the part that kind of wraps around his arm. His arm's resting on like this, the handle, of course. And I'm going to go real dark because I want you to just be able to see this. This is the shadow. It's definitely the darkest area in the picture. And then I'm going to put a little bit of that around here, around the tire. Looks like I went out a little bit of the lines. That's all right. It's my painting. Then this right here and the shadows. Let me do this just a little bit more. Blend that in some. Then I have some of that really dark color in here. This brush is way too big. So let me grab another brush. Set this down. I'm going to move some of that color in here, just down towards his pants. And then it gets really lighter in here. So what I did was I just took some of that paint that's already in there. You don't need paint on your brush every time you're doing a stroke. That's a misconception, folks. You can paint with the dry brush. You can paint with the brush that just barely has any paint on it, and that's this brush right here. Giving it the shape of the round circle, the feel, and then over here, same thing. I'm going to go just a little tiny bit darker. Now that went in too much, I can see that, but I'll fix that later. I lightened it up now. That wheel is a little wobbly, it looks, but that's all right. I'll fix it later. I always do with the dry brush. Blends it perfectly. Then I'm going to go up here where his body is. And I just like to go all different directions. Very little paint on this brush. Very, very little. That color is right about here, around his head, where he's got his helmet. And then I'm going to do some of that in here. This is his headlight. And then down there, right around where his boot is. And then come here, where the shadow is, and just give me that beautiful shadow right in there. Pushing that paint in. Not dirty in my paint or muddy in it. I got a little carried away there, so I'm going to just lighten that up some. Now I'm just barely have any paint on the brush right in here. I'm going to go a little bit lighter color. This is really light. Then there's a hand in here somewhere. This is a light bulb. I mean a headlight. Light bulb. Bulb. Blending those colors in. Just giving the shape. That's all I really want, is I just want the shape. I'm not interested in making everything perfect. This is the fender that comes up here. And it comes out like this right here. Some of that's in there like that. Then this comes down, and this is the windshield that I was telling you about that I need to fix a little bit later. So right now I'm just going to barely put some paint in there. And then I'm going to go over here. There's some buildings over here that are kind of fading out. And I'm going to grab a bigger brush. Now this brush has a lot of black on it, so I want to clean it off somewhat. So I'm going to set this down for a second and clean this brush off. And so some of the things that, the history of the arch, I actually used to work at the Gateway Arch many moons ago. I was a projectionist there, and it was so much fun learning about the history. They had a marvelous museum there, and I believe it is open during this pandemic, so check it out first to make sure that it is open. You want to take all different kinds of pictures I took this picture here that I really, really like a lot. I almost did this one instead of the one that I'm doing now. Okay, camera, mind. There you go. You can see the bottom of it now. And then also I took another picture, and this was when I was in college many moons ago. And this picture here is a picture of the arch underwater. I took it in the lake. I took it, I wasn't in the lake myself, but I did take the picture, you know, and this is the reflection that was in the lake. I am going to be taking a break, and just because a hiatus, I call it, or if you want to do the Mexican way, siesta. Yes, I could take a siesta, just a little break away from the show until August. So this will be my last week for a while, and I'm designing more artwork, and that is very time consuming. And so I want to really bring you some more innovative art, and that's why I'm doing that. So this will be one of the last classes, but do check onto my website, because I will have many things on my website, and I'll still be doing some live videos on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I'll still be doing those live, but they won't be teaching art demo. In fact, they'll just be like little commercials telling you what's new, how I'm still working, you know, and I have a goal in mind. And my goal in mind is to make you the best artist there is. Because you can be that best artist, that best seamstress, that best gardener. All it takes is some time and energy and some passion. You already have the skill. All you have to do is hone that skill. And that just means doing more paintings, getting out there and doing research, and more gardening and stuff like that. So, yes, I do want to encourage you to don't believe Satan's lies that he tells you that you can't be successful, because I'm telling you that you definitely can, and don't believe that devil, because he just is filled with lies. Okay, and then on this Thursday, my last class until August, what I'll be doing is I'm going to step a little closer so that camera will try to, there it goes, so you can just not see my messy studio, because it isn't the prettiest. But I just really want to continue doing the painting. So on Thursday, I'm doing the Colorado waterfalls. And it's a picture I took when I was in Colorado. Part of the problem, me being so hot, is I need to take that hat off. Hopefully my hair is not a disaster. You can go into my website, marriedtoart.com, menu, catalog, photography, digital downloads, and you can find my Mexican skull, which I have up here in the back of me. You can find that, and you're going to find all my art that I've been doing, over 50 videos, you know, and like I said, they will be attached to the painting, and that's one of the things I'm going to work on during my break, is getting my Shopify account up to date and having all those videos for you in just one location. And that takes a lot of time and energy and work. Okay, so I can see his head. I don't like that part there. I'm going to fix that in post-production. And then the wheels are a little crooked, and that's okay, because art isn't perfect, number one. And number two, there's always post-production. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put in just ever so lightly. I want to get more of that oil and more of that thinner. And I have some thinner in here in this little container. So I'm going to open that up and dip my brush in there to really thin that paint out. So when I'm doing things like this, I'm not covering up all that underpainting, because I want it to show through. And then this will be gallery style, so that means I go along the side and do the edges. And then I'll be bringing this guy around that side too when I do my liquid paints. That is just a little darker, so I'm going to grab a dab paint I want a little bit more color in here, but not quite that much color. So I'm going to take some of that paint off and go back in and dip it into this turpentine. No water, definitely no water because these are oils, but there is hardly any paint on this brush. It's mainly turpentine or turpenoid, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so some of the things that I need to correct in my post-production is I need to go through and fill out this forms a little bit more. You can see that this is just a silhouette of two motorcyclists. You're not going to see a lot of detail in this picture because I don't want a lot of detail. The arch is really the focus to this picture. And so if you start adding too much detail, it really takes away from the focus, which is the gateway arch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it a day because I want to get into the post-production and be able to sit down and do some more of that details. And I usually rest my arm against the table, and so it gives me more stability and more balance. And then I've already done all the hard work. The hard work was doing the underpainting and figuring out, well, what is that? Make sure you do have a very, very clear picture because you'll get frustrated if you don't. And then you'll just give up, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to continue painting and painting with me. And just because I'm taking a little hiatus, that doesn't mean that you have to. I want you to text me and message me on Facebook those pictures that you're working on. And I am still looking for Mexican pictures, family members. I'm still looking for those pictures because I love painting Mexican pictures. So I'm going to clean my hands with some clean turpentine, turpenoid. Before I turn the Mexican music on again and do the dance. So I want you to grab your brushes and grab your whatever you have to shake, babe. Whatever you have that is shakeable, grab it. Because we are going to be doing the dance. And if you've been with me for months, since I'm going on over 50 videos, and I consider myself a master artist because I have been on the local Channel 5 news, and so I just continue to paint, and you know, the word gets out, and pretty soon, everybody is painting. Yay! That's what I want. I want everyone to paint. So this Thursday, Colorado waterfall, I will have this painting finished by next week for sure, probably by the end of this week. It'll be on my website for sale. Let me reduce there for sale. And remember, marrytoart.com. There we go, marrytoart.com. That's my website. So what I want you to do is dance with me, number one. And number two, I want you to be kind, to be generous, and to behave. Nah, don't behave. Go wild. That's what I say. Go wild. Thank you for joining me on the Bliss of Art. Free art demos given to you Tuesday and Thursdays, 1 p.m. And I will be going into later, when I return in August, I'll be going to a later evenings again because evenings are so much fun. I can have those margaritas. Yay! Thank you so much, and trust God because He will never mislead you. Thank you again. Bye now. Would somebody hit the light? Oh, I forgot. I'm the only one in the studio. I know you can still see me, and I can still